Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff Needell, and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, your global motorsport podcast. We look back at magnificent Max at Monza, but the headlines are all about McLaren. There was COTA chaos in world sportscars. Marquez MotoGP domination continues in Spain. Superbike star at Magny-Cours and Donington. The NASCAR playoffs get tighter at Gateway. And there's a new winner in the Probite British Rally Championship. All eyes were on Monza, though, Tiff. Where do you want to start? I think there's a big obvious papaya banner.
It's funny, isn't it, how Max was just magnificent, just, we said in the title, and just he's found a little way to make that Red Bull work, and despite not leading early on, he swept past and just had a magnificent victory. But yes, it's all about the debate. Where do you stand? Come on, you go first. I've been tweeting a bit and getting a bit of
I know where you stand. I know where you stand, and I'm 70-30 with you, but I do see the other side of it as well, because it wasn't as straightforward as what you're saying. You're saying that absolutely was the right thing to do. No question about it.
Well, no, questionable morally and everything else, but I think basically they were managing their race, and they're getting very overly careful, almost too protective in their management of the principles of warfare between their two drivers, and it's all very laid out in terms, isn't it? And so they were so worried about, Leclerc might catch us up. He was 4 seconds behind, so there was a small possibility and so it was all,
Leclerc was never going to catch up. That's a load of bollocks.
No,
he was never going to catch up.
No, but that's the reason.
I know it is.
They said, right, we better pit, Oscar first, just in case, Leclerc catches him. So do you mind? It's all this friendly sort of being too nice to everybody. Lando, would you mind if he pitted first? And of course, Lando, you can choose to pit first if you want to, but just to be nice to Oscar, who did of course give you a tow in qualifying to help you get on the grid. So he helped you there. So there won't be an undercut. Don't worry, there won't be an undercut. So they were just been trying to be overly clever and overly nice. And then when it went wrong, when they cocked up the pit stop, then flip it out now. Our great, nice plan hasn't worked out. What should we morally do now? Because they were just managing a second, third finish, and it cocked up. So they just recreated the second, third finish that they were managing in the first place by managing, Oscar to let him by. Morally it's a bit wrong, and if it's a 4-point championship win for Lando at the end of the season, it would be pretty cruel to Oscar. So I don't know. So your view then?
Well, I just see that Lando is the favourite. There's no question. He's their number one driver, and they want him to succeed more than Oscar, is my opinion. And it's probably a load of rubbish, and everyone at McLaren would be shouting at their radio or screens now, saying what a load of rubbish. But Lando is by far the better driver. I think he was 48 laps ahead the whole time, 6 seconds on Oscar. Yeah. He actually pulled away at the end as well. He was the better driver. But because I just see that there is, because of this the pit crew versus pit crew, that they made a mistake. So I just think that it wasn't as clear cut as okay, if he's not going to undercut you, but actually because there was an error there is an argument to say that there shouldn't have been the team orders to.
I agree. There's a huge argument to let it be, and but I just suddenly remembered, actually, you talk about everyone's being Lando. Oh, Lando's their boy, and it was being nice to Lando and favouritism. Who was it that had dominated the McLaren season right up until Monza and was well ahead? And all of a sudden there was this Australian driver that just happened to be ahead, and they wouldn't let Lando attack Ricciardo. Ricciardo went on to win that famous in the Italian Grand Prix in a McLaren.
Yeah,
Lando
it's a good point. People are very fickle and have short memories. You're right.
They definitely helped Ricciardo, let Ricciardo win that by team orders. So they're not always give Lando.
Yeah, you're right, and but I don't think Lando's helped himself in much of this, because he just comes across a little bit smug these days. The crowd booed him.
I know. I heard that.
I which is not nice.
I didn't bother to listen to any of the interviews afterwards, which was a bit.
But I think 6 1, half dozen the other. It's a tough call for the team. But one thing was absolutely unanimous with everybody is how good Max is. Max, he's got to be the best driver ever, hasn't he? I mean, you say Jim Clark,
Jim Clark. Yeah, gone too far now.
but
You can,
but you look at the Chris Harris thing, the interview that he did with Max when Max did the
yeah,
Nürburgring, and
really
it's
good, really good.
fact what he did in terms of times,
Yeah.
and whatever you say about the setup and it wasn't right,
Oh, no.
he is just, you imagine going to the Nürburgring where specialists have done thousands of laps, he goes out there 3 or 4 laps later, beats
I
what was
doubt
the
it. It
pole
wouldn't
position.
be. Wouldn't be 3 or 4 laps later.
What?
He's
But
done. He's
Tiff,
done laps.
watch the Chris
Well,
Harris
he
thing.
says
He says
that.
he's done thousands of laps on the simulator
Oh, on the
around
simulator, of course.
on
I
the
forget
simulator, thousands of laps.
Yeah.
But he's on his 4th lap ever of the Nürburgring. He said that he did 3 or 4 seconds faster than the pole position. Unbelievable.
I'd need 100%. As nobody
Chris
challenged
Harris
it.
isn't going to lie. Max Verstappen's got no reason to lie.
Has he been fact checked? Where's BBC Verify when you need?
BBC, a load of rubbish.
What is that all about? Honestly, every time I hear BBC Verify, so that means all the other news they put out is just made up, is it? They don't check anything. Then, BBC Verify. We hand over them. What's that? What is that all about? Anyway, we're digressing completely. So yeah, okay. No, I agree. Max is just mercurial Max, and he will be the generation's top driver for the next decade, and maybe not the past decade. Depends on how his results.
He is unbelievable.
Yeah, but so was Lewis in his youth. So was Lewis in his younger days.
He was, but I don't like his overtakes. I don't like his attitude in the past. No. But I've really warmed to him and respect the fact that he is just an incredible talent.
That we all agree. Anyway, going back to the race. Papayas had their papaya problems. Max was dominant. Ferrari had a goodish weekend in front of their home crowd and couldn't win, but Leclerc qualified well.
See, that's just such a load of rubbish. Ferrari had a good weekend. No, they didn't. They had an awful weekend. Ferrari should be winning. They should be on the podium.
They've had worse
weekends.
They've had worse weekends. and Lewis had a better week. He qualified 5th. He was only 0.117 seconds behind Leclerc. Although, of course, around Monza, was it half a second covers the first 10 and 15 places? Something ridiculous. But of course, he had to start 10th because of his yellow flag infringement in Barcelona. Barcelona, was it? No, not Barcelona. Where was the previous race? Zandvoort.
Zandvoort.
He came back to finish 5th, so that was okay. George, of course, he couldn't get by. George had another of his George races, didn't he? Sort of there and thereabouts. And again, regulations, it annoys me because this, we've said this before, I've said this before. I mean, Verstappen suffered from it at the British Grand Prix when you pick your qualifying aero, looking at the weather for the next day, and Max went for the wrong setup. The fact you can't change yours because it all goes into part ferme really annoys me, because you find then that Leclerc could hold off George easily because George had a quicker around the corners car with more aero, more drag. Leclerc had the quicker down the straight car. So once the opening laps are over and done with, Crofty going to, who says you can't overtake at the Temple of Speed? Nobody, Crofty, says you can't, because Monza is one of the places you can overtake when you've got that great big long straight with DRS, as long as your aero is similar. And of course, once the race settles down, nobody overtakes. You sort of end up shuffling into your order. And of course, the low drag car that gets the front of a DRS zone, they're usually the leaders of a DRS chain, is when you've got quick in a straight line, but not quick round the corners car. And I'd love them to allow aero changes after qualifying. So imagine in qualifying, they'd all stick on big wings and maximum grip and really not think about your race setup. So you'd have quali setup and really have some amazing qualifying times. And after quali, okay, then all the teams will agree how much you can change. But you can change front wings and rear wings. You can change your aero setup completely from qualifying to the race. Because then you won't end up with two cars that are slow in a straight line because they got...
Can you do that with sports cars?
Well, you can't change anything in sports cars. I think you can adjust but they're so set in sports cars. Once you put in your car's description, your car's certification, you can't change much. But, they're all running different wings, complete wings. They had the low downforce wing. And I'd love to see them do that, just so that you don't end up with two cars or four cars on race day with a compromised setup that may have helped them qualify reasonably well, but then drops them back through the field. So
You wonder if it's that much. So it takes what, 7 seconds, 6 seconds to change a front wing these days
yeah,
on a
yeah,
car. I wonder why they don't and also to get a little bit of adjustment on the rear
yeah.
wing. I wonder why they don't do it mid race. I mean, so when they do a pit stop, if it's going to make that much of a
I think they
difference.
do occasionally. I think they got those little twisters, like IndyCar do it
Mm.
quite often. Because IndyCar pit stops like 4 seconds or 5 seconds, because you only got 4 men changing 4 tires and filling up with fuel as well. So yeah, I'd like to break that Parc Ferme rule and
I'm
allow.
not. I'm not sure that's going to get through the FAA.
No,
FIA. I'll
of
be
course
honest with
not.
you. They want to do silly things like reduce race times, and they want to tinker so much with the sport.
Well,
It's
that's I read right off. What's his name? Domenicali. That seems to become
oh,
a liberty puppet. The suggestions he's coming up with, children get a bit bored with it. Let's change it again, and we'll have reverse grids, and we'll have them all driving around with plastic donkeys towing behind them. And I mean, it's getting too far. And also, we can't have any more teams. There's no room for a 12th team now. They don't want that happening. Anything the FIA wants now. Begin to become a fan of old Ben Suleiman, who's still trying to get his V8s in or V10s or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, there's the closed shop. Yeah, we have to make it reverse grid. This is Grand Prix racing. This is the premier formula racing in the world. Don't start faffing about even more.
I know it's so frustrating.
Anyway,
And
Williams
I'll
had a
tell
good
you,
weekend. Williams go up and down the grid like mad, don't they?
but I see. I'm a Carlos fan. I love Carlos. He is the smooth operator, but God, he complains a lot.
I was about to say, you sure he's a smooth operator? I've got a middle list here. I'm going back to the because I think it was Gasly called about in qualifying, and it sounds from the middle of an apex, on a free practice session. And Gasly said at the time, I think, it's always him. It's always him. Mind you, most drivers say it's always him every time they get held up. Anyway,
They do, don't they?
and then of course we had the Zandvoort situation where I sympathised with him, and he had to go at Liam Lawson because Lawson, he'd rather have contact than give room. And then we come to Monza with Ollie Behrman. And who was the one that would rather have contact and not give room in that situation? Because the Lawson thing in Zandvoort, it was Lawson's racing line. He's allowed to exit. He had the lead at the apex. He's allowed to use all the road exits.
That was real touch and go though. But
No,
according to the
legally,
book, it was
according to the books. Yeah, you must back out. The guy on the outside had to say, "Okay, I've done the overtake. I now have to back out." Like Leclerc, when he went around the outside of George, he hadn't got round the outside. He had to back out of it. And then, the reverse situation. So now the science is the Lawson coming into the second chicane at Monza. He has got the place. He's got the lead. But he must know that there's a bit of a car still inside him. And so he stubbornly headed for the apex. So legally, again, he was in the right this time. And Behrman was in the wrong. Behrman should have got out of it somehow. But maybe braked so late he couldn't get out of it. But, if Sainz had used the same advice that he said Lawson should have, so Sainz didn't follow his own advice.
Yeah.
Sainz didn't think he's going to need a bit of space here. I've got the overtake done, but I'm going to have to give him a bit of. So yeah, he's a bit of an apprentice to Alonso, isn't he? For having a bit of a go and a moan, wanting to get his name in the frame. But of course,
it never used to be like that. I think he's just got so frustrated.
Yeah, he's not in a top team, is he? And the Williams strategy is not quite there. But the cars, in free practice, they kept on popping up third and fourth and fifth and sixth.
But like you said, they had a good weekend overall. Alex Albon again was magnificent.
Yeah. A good seventh place for him.
Still can't help thinking what would have happened if he stayed at Red Bull and they just gave him a little bit more time.
Yeah, he could have been there. Bortoleto again, this Gabriele Bortoleto, the Brazilian, he just seems to be there doing amazing. He qualified, 0.3 ahead of Hulkenberg. He's really beginning to show up, Hulkenberg. We all loved Hulk and he got his podium, but I think he needs to retire after one more year, the Hulk. Give some of these youngsters another chance. Because Hulkenberg didn't even get a race, did he? He had to retire because they had a hydraulic problem on the grid. Kimi Antonelli, a lot of question marks this morning. Even Mercedes being said, he needs to. It's a bit of a shame, really, because he's got the seat for next year, so he doesn't really have to be too bothered by all these people criticising. Because he can think, I've got plenty of time next year to show my true worth, so he probably will next year. But if only, as we've said it almost every week, if he only had stayed in Formula 2 for a year, he wouldn't have all this pressure.
Or if he just took, I don't know, you're a racing driver, so you want to push to the limit. But if only he just did that sort of at the beginning of the season and took the chances and pushed to
Yeah.
the extreme, and when he had a bit more flexibility to get away with things. But now the spotlight's definitely on Kimi.
I'm sure he'll come good. I think he will come good. The talent's there.
Bortoleto and
Yuki,
Hadjar are
yeah.
streets apart.
Yeah, but they haven't got a Mercedes drive for next year. Mercedes new regulations. It could be the one to have.
I did like Bortoleto racing Alonso, of course, who is his manager.
Yeah.
That's always good fun. They got a very good dynamic. And then Fernando, you said about him being grumpy, complains he smacked that suspension on the curbs, and it's unusual to see them go, but he really munched the curb.
He was wide, yeah.
And then just wondered,
maybe you ran a bit wide, Fernando. Maybe you ran a bit wide.
Maybe it's your fault, Fernando. No, of course not. Car's fault, not mine.
Yeah, Alonso not impressed with Aston Martin. Nobody impressed with Lance Stroll. He's got to go, and he's got to come on, Mr. Daddy Stroll. Oh, got to. One more year, maybe, if he's lucky. Yuki qualified 10th, got excited. My main thing was to get into Q3, which I succeeded on. I saw that little interview. I had a bit of a nothing race to 13th. Yeah, Hadjar admitting, owning up, he made a mistake. It's the first time he hasn't got out of Q1. He said, the cars aren't the best this weekend, but I cocked up on the lap. Around Monza, one small error, and it was 2/10, and you dropped 5 places. So he had to come out the pit lane at the end, didn't he? Along with Ollie Behrman. Behrman was having a really good race until it's clashed, but he still finished 12th. He came from the pit lane up to about 11th, and then he had his clash with Sainz, where they spun in harmony. So Ollie had a quite.
So who would you pick if you were team leader? Would you pick Ollie Behrman or Kimi Antonelli? Not the nationality, the driver, the ability.
He always said you're as bad as those people that tweet at me for being Brit biased.
Well, of course you do. You make no secret of it. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
You didn't have to say not the nationality. You just asked me on talent alone.
Yeah,
and I'd go Ollie Behrman. I would for sure. I really do think he's talented.
It's a tough call.
And Hadjar, that really came from the pit lane as well to finish 10th, going past his having a bad weekend. Lawson again. So lots of comings and goes. Of course, Lawson hasn't got the ride. They still don't know what's going to happen with the second Racing Bull or even the Red Bull. That's to come. We still don't know what's happening in Alpine. Alpine was lovely. What did he say? Pierre Gasly said his 5-year contract that he signed. I'm so happy to be with a French team, and I think we're going to win races, and I'm going to become world champion with my French team. And I said, I can't believe it's going to be French for that long, Pierre. Surely the cars are made in Britain at Edstone. The engines are German, or in fact, they're made in Britain. I think the Mercedes Grand Prix engines, even though they're German. And your Alpine contract is with a company that's now not making only making EVs. They're not even making a hybrid Alpine, are they? They're only coming out with full EV cars.
What about the little 2-seater thing?
It's gone. The A110, they're all sold out, I think. That's it. The next one's electric.
No way. Yeah. I love the electric one, but
I don't think
just want electric.
I don't think you can get a petrol A110. I'm not sure.
Wow, no, you must be able to.
If you can find one to buy and you've got the cash, buy it now. It's the most wonderful little sports car. The A110 is lightweight. It just feels alive in your hands. It is
Series 1, Episode 6, Lovecars on the Road, Amazon Prime. You can see Tiff driving one.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Forgotten about that.
Tiff, what do you make of Laurent Mekies? Is that how you pronounce his name? The new Red Bull team principal. But I was surprised he didn't. So it was his first win for Red Bull. I was surprised he didn't go up on the podium and do the champagne.
Well, he's been credited. I saw the headline, read the story, that his attitude has helped this Max get the car going quicker.
Nah, Max doesn't need anyone. I'm telling you, Max doesn't need anyone.
But I think the whole team is a bit more relaxed. I think the Horner Empire was a bit of a pressure cooker, and I think he's brought a more relaxed attitude. Yuki praised him for being more relaxed and smiling at him. Go on, Yuki, do your best. I think you're probably getting a bit tired of saying, come on, Yuki, do your best. But apparently Yuki had a different floor again to Max.
Yuki. Bye-bye, Yuki. One of the most lovable people on the grid. But it's time to go and drive
to go to Sportscars. So COTA last weekend has moved to sport. I haven't watched much of the highlights.
Hang on, wait. I got to rile you first. I got to say something that's going to definitely rile you. First chicane, Monza.
Yeah.
How ridiculous! The cars
Well,
are
I've
too
said that
big.
always, but they all managed to get
You
round
haven't
this
said it
year,
on
didn't
this.
they?
You haven't said no. Well, they didn't, did they? They're all diving down the inside, and there weren't any sort of big hits. But we got to highlight it because it's too ridiculous. You literally go back on yourself and then round again. And you got 5 meter long cars. It's ridiculous.
And the Madrid circuit, which they've signed off for next year, has exactly the same opening corner, except the
They're
left
too
right.
big, and that's why these Formula E cars have so many problems because they're trying to fit square pegs into round holes. They're trying to get cars through tiny little turnings.
Stupid.
It's just too big. So Monza, first chicane, redonkulous. Right, sports cars.
Yeah, it was very wet over in Texas. Rain. I don't know how they didn't actually race for that long due to a red flag with some confusion when the pace car was dying a death or something. So the pace car had to come into the pit lane, and they sent another pace car out to take over from the dying pace car. But half the field followed the dying pace car into the pit lane. Oh, it all got chaos apparently. It was a bit of chaos. There were safety cars and restarts, but it was spectacular racing. And for the real enthusiast, it's a really entertaining race. So many cars, so much overtaking going on, so much to follow, but you have to concentrate to follow. You're getting soaked in the rain. Expect the crowd was about 10,000 instead of 100,000. But for the enthusiast, it's just fantastic, those hypercar racing. Mr. Domenicali probably doesn't want to ever go there. But I would, after the about 6-hour race, but I think I had about 5 hours of racing. And there were 11 hypercars on the lead lap. Kevin Estrad pushed his Porsche to the front on a restart, overtaking one of the Ferraris, I think it was. And Porsche won it. Ferrari was second, and Peugeot, who'd had a terrible time, really could qualify 11th and 18th. They've been the ugly duckling that hasn't become a swan.
Still not got the rear wing. They still not got.
They've got a rear wing, yeah, but it still looks a bit of a pig. I mean, sorry, I was sorry to interrupt, insult pigs, but it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look fast. There's something about it.
Peugeot, Stellantis, we love you. You make some beautiful cars, but change your sports car.
They came through to finish third and fourth. I saw the film, the little shorts on YouTube and stuff, and it was like they won the world championship that they finished third and fourth through 11.
Yeah, but they had a win, didn't they? This
third's
season.
their best. No,
third's
I think this is another
okay.
third. But yeah,
even with the balance of power, it just can't get anywhere near.
Yeah, well, no,
that's good. But that's good. Yeah. It just shows the balance of power is somewhat fair.
Yeah, this time
because they shouldn't be winning just because they keep losing. They shouldn't win something.
Ferrari are back though. They were first, second, and fourth. I think on the grid, having been embarrassed in Brazil, so they managed to get back to the pace. But obviously, the rain, you get the rain and mixed up everything else. There were people going up. The Aston Martins both retired through overheating for picking up too much rubbish in their radiators, clogging radiators or something. The Toyotas were spinning merrily. There was lots of offs and ons, but yeah.
Balance of power, balance of performance. Performance.
So we keep on saying, balance of performance. GT again, great balance of performance. We had a McLaren first, a BMW, including Valentino Rossi in the driving lineup, second, and a Ferrari third. 12 cars on the lead lap in the GT category. So, if that's not entertaining, I know you've got to sit and watch it and concentrate. It's not wham bam Domenicali, man. It's a real endurance racing. How many have they got left? Where they go next? Is that end of it? World Endurance Championship. No, they got Fuji. One more round at the end of September at Fuji. So yeah, entertaining at COTA, MotoGPs. That was a Marquez again, but this time not Marquez. He won the sprint race, but Alex Marquez. It was his weekend. He had the speed, the poles. But again, we talk about this compared with Formula One. He just fell off while leading the sprint race by about 3 seconds with about 5 laps to go. Dropped the front end underneath him. Lack of concentration.
I'll tell you, Tiff. Lap 40. Lando Norris did the same as him, but he had 4 wheels. He got away with it. He put 2 wheels on the gravel. And really went lack of concentration. If he was on a motorbike, he would have dropped it.
Yeah, I missed that. Wasn't it Monza?
Yeah, Monza.
Oh, I missed that.
All on his own. 4 seconds in front of Oscar.
Yeah,
and
do that on a bike.
Yeah, and that's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Remember, Max made a couple of errors all on his own once, which is just
Yeah, he spun, didn't Hungary, wasn't it? Everyone was shocked. I was shocked. I think it was a restart. Cold tires.
But I also think it just shows how difficult that Red Bull is to drive. Oh, I sound like the biggest Max fan in the world now.
Where's our complaining viewer? What's his name?
Yari, he's going to love me.
Yes, yeah, we haven't heard from him for ages.
Yeah, you know why we haven't heard from him? Because we say positive things about Max now and not slating. But his driving, his overtakes were just awful. To think that he was.
What about Oscar's round the outside of Leclerc? Lesmo won first lap. Yeah. That was pretty bull. He's definitely ballsy, old Oscar.
But he's cool with it. He's calm with it as well.
Cool and ballsy. So the sprint race back to MotoGP, Quartararo had a second on the Yamaha, and Di Gianti Antonio had a third on the Ducati sprint race. But Alex managed to stay on two wheels for the Grand Prix itself and have a handsome win over his brother, which they could all celebrate in true Spanish style. The KTMs had a good race. They were third and fourth, Bastianini and Acosta. But it's just a Marquez, not the Marc Marquez show this weekend, the Marquez show. Moto2, a rookie won it, which is quite good. The Spanish get Spain in Spain. Daniel Holgado won it. His teammate to David Alonso, they battled for the Moto2 title last year. Alonso had back of the grid penalties for holding up people or doing something wrong in qualifying. So he came from 25th to 8th, David Alonso, in the same team as Holgado. Jake Dixon, though, Britain, second. He's had a bit of a second half of the season coming on now. I think he stopped trying to make the bike faster and just got on with riding it as it is because he's got that tricky chassis problem he had earlier. Against Spain, of course, won Moto3. They won all three Grand Prix. Angel Piqueras, his fourth win of the year. He closes in on the championship leader, another Spanish guy, Jose Antonio Rueda, who was finished second in the race, leads the championship. Still, our two Brits, Scott Ogden 14th, Eddie O'Shea 22nd, and sadly, I don't think Ogden is going to become the star that we hoped he would be 2 years ago when he joined the grids. But the only race that was really exciting was Moto3. I mean, still quite processional, some of it, Moto2 and MotoGP. But of course, the Moto3 boys. But you've got to have to get up early. I don't know. I think you can watch it on telly at about 8 o'clock in the morning. So it must be like a 9 a.m. race. Same like Formula 3, Monza, they sort of, you've got to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. They run it in front of nobody's back in the grandstands yet. I didn't actually put down the Formula 3 results. Last round of the championship, and who won it? It's the Thai boy who trying to strap a dapper pole. I haven't written it down, but at least I remembered it. And I think I sort of took a bit of the mix. He won a reverse grid, and he's only won reverse grid races. He's won two.
Proving a point with you.
Yeah, done a really good race, good overtake, take the lead. Formula 2 was a bit chaotic. Now, who won it? I haven't made the notes at all.
It was chaotic. There's lots of that first.
Yeah.
Lindblad was knocked out, I think.
He went to the back of Dunn in the main race, took Dunn out, and he's got 2 5-place penalties in the next race because he cocked something else up. He went out. Well, he went to the back of Dunn, and then he pitted for tyres when it came to the manager who went into the pits then because it was a safety car. And the team put the tyres on, but they must have noticed the nose was damaged. And nobody told him your nose is damaged. They didn't change it.
No.
Yeah. And then on the restart, he comes barreling down the huge long straight on the restart, goes to hit the brakes. And of course, he had no downforce in the front. So the front's just locked out. And he slammed into one of the yellow cars, one of the other two, and just destroyed both their races. It was a bizarre. He was saying on the radio, my brakes failed. Well, no, these brakes
wasn't. It was.
No,
exactly.
And no downforce in the nose.
For Neroli?
He didn't win the race. No,
he won the sprint race.
He won the sprint race. Who won the Grand Prix?
Oh, Luke Browning won it.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Now, I think Luke is better than Arvid Lindblad. So Red Bull are going on about, everybody's saying that Lindblad is going to be most likely in the racing pool. It's almost a bit frustrating when you're a youngster. If you sign up, for I've got a Williams Grand Prix contract. I'm now Williams signed, Grand Prix reserve driver. But there's not much chance of you getting a race. Whereas if there's 4 Red Bulls and you signed up as a Red Bull, as Lindblad is. So I really do think Luke, it was a fantastic drive. We forgot.
That's
Sorry,
why,
Luke.
And I mean this in the nicest possible way, the likes of Freddie Slater onto a bit of a winner because his father can afford for him not to sign with a big team. And if you can wait and not sign with a big team
later on, yeah,
exactly, then you got the
he's back in the lead of the Frecker Championship. I think he had a bad run and qualified bad. He had a track limits error.
He's been all over the place, hasn't he? He's been in lots of different championships. So
but he's back in the lead.
There's no question he's a real deal. Tiff, would you, as a Formula One team principal with that hat on, would you prefer to, if you were a Formula One team principal, would you, and you're from McLaren or Williams, a British company, would you prefer to have an Australian and a Brit, or would you go for a couple of Brits? Even if the Brit wasn't as good,
I wouldn't care. No, just go best two drivers you can get.
I wouldn't. I'll go two Brits.
Why? The second Brit might be rubbish. So there's no. I mean, there are a lot of good Brits.
There's lots of good Brits around.
I know. Was done in Northern Ireland. It's Northern Ireland or Ireland.
We got Alex Albon for a start.
Yeah, he's Thai. He's only half Brit. No, that's half a Brit. Half a Brit. Like he goes under the Thai flag now.
Lewis.
It's done Irish or British. Oh gosh, you're like
Lewis is done. Lewis from a big Lewis fan.
Done.
What are you looking at now? Alex Dunn?
Yes.
He's Irish.
Which Irish? Are you sure?
Well, you're going to take forever Googling. You know when
I'm slow. Well, you do it.
When your dad starts typing, and you just know it's going to take a long time.
Well, it says the 19-year-old Irish driver Alex Dunn will step in for Lando Norris from free practice. Irish teenager Dunn, so it looks like he's Irish. An era boy. So you can't count him in the British team.
He's from O'Fally in Ireland.
Where are we now? Done that. Moto3, done that.
Right, let's go to Donington and Magny-Cours.
Oh, yes. Bizarrely, in the world of superbike racing, if your name doesn't begin with R, you had a bad weekend, because the R's just... So Razgatlioglu obviously won all three superbike races. And it was getting so boring there. The high-tech bikes they have, superbikes. It was the same podium in all three races. Razgatlioglu, Bulega, and Alex Lowe's. So BMW, Ducati, Kawasaki. They're all spread out, 10 seconds apart, the three bikes. So it was an R domination. And then when it comes to the British Superbikes, they had 4 races last weekend at Donington. The R's, again, were just there. The R's took it was Ride, Reading and Ray took 9 of the potential 12 podium slots. And the only person that got a podium apart from 3 R's was Skinner, who had 2 third places in the second. But luckily for him, his name is Rory Skinner. So in fact, the R's took all 12 podium places. And Kyle Ryde won 3 of the races. Scott Redding had the win on the Saturday race, and he hasn't won a race for about 300 years. I can't remember how long ago back, because he's come back from Superbikes, where he's had a bad last couple of seasons. And again,
what year was your last race win?
I don't know, 2000 GT3 at Spa might have been the last one.
Never won at Silverstone. At Goodwood.
I won in my Formula Ford, of course, at Thruxton.
Yeah,
forget that. But yeah, the whole thing is here. All these races, it was wonderful. They were won by tenths of a second. They were just bike upon bike into all 4 races. And that's because the bikes aren't full of science. The bikes can be so much more entertaining than the dull superbikes, world superbikes, brilliant British superbikes.
Yeah, it's just a brilliant series. In terms of that, George made a comment. I thought it was a little bit naive. It was nice. It was polite towards Max, but he said, I just don't understand how Max was 40 seconds behind wherever, Zandvoort, wherever it was, and yet he wins by 20 seconds. But it's obvious. It's a low downforce.
Just
much fast straights. Yeah, exactly.
It's a question of which circuit suits which cars nowadays, which is really annoying. So anyway, Kyle Ryde, by winning the 3 races, he's now extended his lead from 2 points to 28 points, because Bradley Ray, of course, dominated early on, shot to a big championship.
Wasn't he 2 points behind, or he was 2 points?
No, 2 points ahead. He just got the lead at the last round by 2 points, and now he's extended it to 28 points with 3 rounds to go. So we could be having another Brands Hatch battle to the last for the championship win. Bradley Ray, he had 1 second place, but then a 4th and a 7th. So not the best of weekends. So I reckon Superbikes, probably the British Superbikes, were the most entertaining motorsport anywhere that we've done this covered.
I got something coming up that might top that.
Oh God, there's going to be a Caterham story, I believe.
Yeah, there
Has
is
to
a
be.
Caterham story at the end.
Over to NASCAR. NASCAR's was boring. You'll be pleased for me to tell you that the second round of the 3-round knockouts to go from 16. Funny enough, it was a gateway racetrack, and it was called the Enjoy Illinois 300. I love Americans and that sort of thing. What a title for a name! Like the
Enjoy
bowling
Illinois.
green at Watkins. Go bowling at the Glen, don't it, for Watkins Glen?
That's right.
The Enjoy Illinois 300 was dominated pretty much by the Toyota Joe Gibbs racing team, which of course Chase Briscoe won last weekend, and Denny Hamlin won this weekend with Chase Briscoe second. Dirty Den. So the Joe Gibbs Toyotas are blowing them all away. There's only one more round to go now before it gets cut from 16 to 12. Sadly, SVG Van Gisbergen had a pretty bad. I don't know where he finished well down the pack. He's dropped out of the top 12. He's now down in 14th. And pretty much he'll have to have a miraculous win in Bristol half-mile track next weekend for Shane Van Gisbergen's dream to continue. But the five dominated up front.
Carl Larson.
Yeah, Larson dominated about 2/3 of the race. Then he got punted in the back by someone that disturbed his... There's a little flap. So you imagine the air exit at the back of the car. And he got hit up the back by someone. His flap dropped down, so it ruined his aero. So he had to come into the pits. They tried to make it work again. It's all part of the stopping the cars flying in the air if they go backwards at 200 miles an hour stuff. But he had problems and dropped back. Back home, British Rally Championship was a great story for the Irish and the Northern Irish drivers, the British and the Irish. Because John Armstrong's been doing the European Rally Championship, usually the Irish driver. And he's third in the points of the European Championship, hadn't won a round. But the British Rally Championship hosted the European Rally Championships that combined together for the race, the rally near Aberystwyth. And Armstrong won it. His first European Rally Championship win. He also won some points for British Rally Championship. He's not contesting that. In fact, he probably didn't win points. I don't know, because he's not in it, but he might have been. But it was his first win, so John Armstrong deserves to move up, whereas the Northern Ireland's William Crichton finished 5th overall, 3rd in the BREC British class to extend his championship lead with 1 round to go at the end of September. So great entertainment and success for the home teams in Northern and Southern Ireland era.
Good.
Gets
Caterham's hot off the press. That little bulletproof engine they've had for nearly 20 years, the little Sigma engine, changing now. They've got a new engine coming in, which is a little turbocharged engine from Horse Technologies.
Why?
Apparently,
turbocharged.
Because they have to.
Turbocharged.
Because they can't get the other one anymore.
Homologation. Turbocharged.
I agree. But that's not what I was going to mention. Caterham. I was going to mention Caterham because Getwell Jeff Price. Wow, he had Caterham's wheel-to-wheel racing, and he must have clipped somebody, and he just rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled.
Where was that?
Many times. I don't know. I want to say Snetterton or Donington.
What class was he in then? Well, Donington was bikes this weekend, so it wasn't then.
It wasn't Donington. Probably Snetterton.
Wherever.
I think he's in the 310s. But he walked away from it, and you just think, it's one of those horror ones where you watch, think, oh my goodness, that's bad. But and he's a big lad as well. I think he's like 6'1". He's a big old unit. So he just walked away from the.
I think the always thing you have to remember when they roll, they're not suddenly decelerating. So it looks horrendous, but in fact you're just slowly slowing down. I know you get a bit of but you wear those wrist things. It's compulsion.
Well, I was just going to say there's a lad there called Darren.
Good thing.
He loves the chocolate fondue, does Darren. He was on that dating show, and he made a chocolate fondue for his date. So he gets a bit of stick about that. But he was so insistent in my academy year, always wear them. Because you never know.
You have to wear them. That's a law, isn't it?
Well, I think it might. I think in academy it's law, but I think it's optional as you go on. But why wouldn't you wear them? So your hands don't fly out.
No, you can't wave at the crowd when you've won, can you?
I don't win, so it's okay for me. Where are we next week, Tiff? What's going on?
Goodwood, of course. Goodwood this weekend. Oh, yeah. I'm there in a C-type Jaguar, which I'm really looking forward to. Even if you're not raced, it's the most wonderful walk around Goodwood at the weekend. Everyone dressed up with a fun. You don't have to even dress up, but 90% seem to get into the 60s mood. Well, 50s and 60s, of course. So wonderful, glorious Goodwood this weekend. Not much actually world motorsport. The World Rally Championship goes to Chile, where this huge, tense four-way battle for the championship will continue.
Come on, Seb. Come on, Seb. You want
Elfin. Come on, Elfin.
Elfin.
MotoGP boys are down in Italy at the San Marino Grand Prix, Misano. NASCAR's, as you say, that it will be cut from 16 to 12 at the end of the Bristol 500. I don't know if it's got a good name or not, but it's a 500 lap around the half-mile track. Or if you're down under in Australia, you can go around the bend, down near Adelaide for the Supercars round. How many have they got left for this round?
Last one, I think.
No, they've got loads to go. They got the Bend, they got Bath, Bathurst, and then they got Gold Coast, and they got Sand, and they don't finish until the 30th of November.
I thought there was only 11 race weekends in their calendar.
Well, they've only had 5, then they've got 6 to go. There you go.
Wow. Miles out of that, as per normal. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.